Here's today's First Word Daily Devotion.
It's January the 19th, and we have a very dramatic story in front of us today. Here we have the meeting that's been building between Jacob and Esau. Remember the last time we saw Esau, he left and was sort of bitter or embittered. He did not regard the word of his father. He wanted to do exactly opposite. And here we have the meeting. A lot of time has transpired between the last time these two brothers were together. And so there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of elements that are building the story. Look at verse 7, for example. Let's start rather at 32:1. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's camp." And so here he is with this. We're going to see this as the story develops. God continues to direct the path of Jacob. Look at verse 7. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. And the reason he's greatly afraid and distressed is because he's going to meet his brother Esau. He divided the people who were with him, the flocks, the herds, the camels, into two camps, thinking if Esau comes to the one camp and attacks it, then the camp that is left will escape. And so here he is exercising his cunning again. And Jacob said in verse 9, "O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me." So here's this personal element of the Lord, the God of his father Abraham, his father Isaac. This God is the same God that's speaking to him. Verse 12, "But you said, I will surely do you good and make your offsprings as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude." Now, the Bible repeats this so that it can keep that story in front of us. But here's an interesting happening as Jacob is on his way to meet his brother. In verse 22, that same night he arose, took his 2 wives, female servants, his 11 children, crossed the ford of the Jacob. He took them and set them across the stream and everything else that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint, and he wrestled with him. So here is Jacob wrestling with someone, and we don't know who this someone is. Well, we do know that it's the Lord, but the reason I say that is let's just continue reading. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day has broken." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And look at this. He asked him the question that Isaac asked him. And the last time we saw him answering this question, he lied. And he said that his name was Esau. And he said to him, verse 27, "What is your name?" And here he tells the truth. He said, "My name is Jacob." Then he said, "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel," who means he strives with God. For you have striven with God, with men, and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me, what is your name?" But he said, "Why is it that you ask my name?" And there he blessed him. Now, this is important because we're not going to see the name of this one come up until later in the prophets. Later, the prophets are going to tell us what his name is. But here, he doesn't say what his name is. We know him as Emmanuel, God with us. We know him as Jesus Christ. There's going to be a riddle that we're going to encounter in the Proverbs where the question is, what is his son's name? Surely you know. But we'll get there when we get there. Keep reading the Bible. So Jacob called the name of the place in verse 30, Peniel, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered." And this beautiful encounter in chapter 33, Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck. And so there's this desire for Jacob was afraid to see the face of Esau. Jacob saw the face of God. And then look at Matthew chapter 11 and talking about John the Baptist. Behold, I send my messenger. Look at this language here. This is just interesting how the ESV Everyday Bible lays out verse 10. I send my messenger before your face. Remember this. Here's the lesson for us today. As the Psalm tells us in Psalm 18, verse 28, it is you who light my path. The Lord my God lightens my darkness. For by you I can run against a troop, and by my God I can leap over a wall. This God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord proves true. He is a shield for all those who take refuge in him.